All right, welcome to Speak For Yourself. I am Jason Whitlock. That is Marcellus Wiley. That dude.
Yes, sir.
Coming up, we'll tell you what another Thunder first-round exit would do to Russell Westbrook's reputation, but we begin in the NFL. Football is best played by the desperate, men with limited options. Desperation is one of the few characteristics that trumps talent. That's the major red flag on Oklahoma quarterback Kyler Murray. He's not desperate. He has options and a history of not being afraid to utilize those options. Late last week, CBS Sports' Pete Prisco reported the Arizona Cardinals are having second thoughts about selecting Murray with the first overall pick in Thursday's draft. Prisco said, all of a sudden, they are pulling back, and from what I've been told, they're going to go in a different direction. They are not going to draft Kyler Murray. All right, the NFL draft is filled with lies and calculated misinformation. Someone could be intentionally lying to Prisco, but I'm not so sure. The knock on Kyler Murray as a football player has been rather consistent for the past 5 years. He's more entitled than desperate. His former teammates at Texas A&M subtweeted their thoughts in 2015 when Murray bolted the school after 1 year. Entitlement is such a silly beast. Welcome to 2015. Entitlement becomes the norm whenever media, coaches, and fans do nothing but boost a kid's ego throughout the recruiting process. The NFL Network's Charlie Cashley drew the ire of the woke media when he reported that some executives and scouts were less than impressed with Murray's combine interviewers. Former NFL general manager Scott McCloughan doubled down on Cashley's take just last week. Oklahoma head coach Lincoln Riley conceded that Murray has some work to do as a leader. A week ago, Sports Illustrated published a piece trying to explore what are Murray's motives and true desire. Is he really committed to football, or is he a puppet controlled by his helicopter dad? 3 days before the draft, Kyler Murray remains a mystery in a draft process designed to solve all riddles. Murray is a mystery because he has options. If he struggles on the football field, he can always return to baseball. The Oakland A's selected him first in the first round of the MLB draft, and they're still willing to pay him a small fortune to be the next Ricky Henderson. Murray's personality is far more outfielder than quarterback. You don't have to do much talking or leading standing in the middle of an outfield waiting for a ball to come your way. Football requires a higher level of communication, a higher level of vulnerability. Baseball is the team sport that provides perfect cover for eccentric personalities. I don't believe Kyler Murray is done using baseball as leverage in his football career. The Arizona Cardinals would be wise to take Ohio State pass rusher Nick Bosa with the first pick. Bosa desperately wants to be a great football player. All right, joining the desk now is Fox college football analyst and our draft expert, Joel Klatt, and former Pro Bowl defensive back, D'Angelo Hall. Marcellus, get us started.
Yeah.
Is Kyler Murray's options, buffet of options, is that a red flag for the NFL?
It really shouldn't be. You talk about a guy who's doing something that's never been done in sports history, potentially top 10 pick in 2 different sports. How dare us to make that a negative when that's such a blessing? And if you look at this guy, if he goes to the NFL, chooses the NFL, finishes the NFL, you know how far he will have to flame out, how miserably he would have to be on the field to even consider the option of baseball. Like, to get to that place, do you know how far you have to fall from where you are and the expectations and productions to get to that place? So if I'm an NFL team, and it only takes one to fall in love with you, and Kyler Murray is hoping that team is in the top 10, I'm looking at that situation with this guy as a talent and saying, if he's that good in 2 things, imagine how great he'll be focused on 1. And I'm riding with him.
Yeah, I'm riding with Kyler Murray, too. It's not a negative. It was always considered a negative as a little kid when we were growing up. If you were athletic, you couldn't play the quarterback position, at least when I was growing up. They wanted you to be the running back. They wanted you to be the wide receiver. They wanted you to put you everywhere else but at the quarterback position. And now we have a guy who's super athletic, can throw the football, has won a Heisman Trophy at the quarterback position, and because he actually plays another sport and he's really good at that sport, we're going to penalize him and say, hey, he's not focused on this, or he always has that as a backup option. I'm glad he has that as a backup option. I'm hoping he thrives. Say that one
We
more
don't
time.
own a team.
You're right. You're right. I'm hoping because like Marcellus said, this kid has been able to do some of the things on the football field and not even giving it his absolute all. So for me as a GM, I'm thinking, man, if this kid can convince me in this room, sitting face to face, that football is what he loves. Now, if I'm interviewing him and it doesn't come across, he would probably be taken off my board. If I felt like, look, maybe if he's not successful or maybe if he doesn't have immediate success, he's going to jump and bail. And you can get that feeling being in a draft room. If you get that feeling while interviewing him, then yeah, he has to fall off your board. But if this guy loves football like we feel as though he does, by giving back millions of dollars and saying, hey, this is what I want to do, I don't have that feeling, but I don't know what those guys in that draft room do.
Yeah, so I'm gonna come at this like a lawyer. Okay, you made your opening remarks and listen, they sounded good, they sounded correct.
They always do.
They always do, right? I mean, listen, it's cohesive. It makes sense what you said, what you laid out. There's no doubt that it all makes sense. Let's start taking it apart. Okay, let's step by step. Let's talk about love of game. All right. You say he has options, that's a bad thing. I say he has proved his love of football time and time again. Not only could he have quit football last year and taken that money and run and gone into the A's organization, he said, no, I want my shot at what Baker did. I want my shot with Oklahoma to win a national title. So he came back and he proved he loved football last year by even playing for the Oklahoma Sooners, which he certainly didn't have to do if he just wanted to take, the few $1 million, four and change $1 million from the A's and ride off into the sunset. So there's that. He also proved to me, even more so than Bosa, that he was committed to the sport. Because when things got tough for Murray, he was right there. I mean, right there, getting beat up by Alabama, black eye. He was right there. Nick Bosa, for as much as I love Nick Bosa, had an abdomen injury and was healthy to go the last month of the season. He could have played the last month of the season and chose not to protect his draft stock. I'm not faulting him for it.
Opposite of Zion.
But I'm just saying that's a truth, okay? So I could argue, if we were in a court of law, that Murray loves the sport more than Bosa does.
Well, you know what's unfortunate with Bosa? I had the same injury, and I bought into
It's tough, right?
I bought into the football culture. San Diego, my second year, same exact injury. Oh, I just got all this money. I just made the Pro Bowl. I got to go out here and ball out and recover as fast as I can. I got clearance, and I came back. And you know what? Too soon. Even with clearance, McNabb had the same injury, stayed out the entire year. Nick Bosa had the injury, stayed out the entire year. This is an injury when it affects the core.
I get it.
With Nick Bosa.
And that's why I'm not trying to knock him. I'm saying he was cleared, and he was telling people around him at Ohio State, yeah, I'm coming back, and then all of a sudden, that rug was pulled out.
Go ahead, Johnny Cochran. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
I'm just telling you that's part of the case.
Go ahead,
Now,
Mr. Cochran.
I will also say, if you look at the decision between baseball and football, it's a no-brainer based on his heart and his mind. The smarter decision is football, guys. If you go back to 2004 and you look at the top quarterback drafted in every NFL draft and the top college baseball position player selected in every Major League Baseball draft, there's only two position players in Major League Baseball draft that have earned more in their career than the top quarterback selected in that draft.
Joe, see, my problem with your whole argument is we're just crowning this kid and saying he's going to be one of the top players in football. See, the difference to me is why I would have told him to pick baseball, why my kids all play baseball. They play football as well, but the reason I'm guiding them toward baseball is because you don't have to be the best of the best of the best.
Oh, I totally disagree with that.
Oh,
Yeah, I
you
agree
do?
with that too.
That's
Oh,
fair.
You're arguing against Joel's numbers.
As a
See,
quarterback,
you
are
arguing
you
with
kidding me?
Joel's
As a
numbers.
quarterback,
There's offensive lineman
as a
just got paid the
quarterback.
highest in history. He's not even top
As a
10.
quarterback, not any position, as a quarterback, you think it is easier to play in the National Football League as a quarterback
Well, that's the thing.
than a position
he's got
player
that
in
chance right
baseball?
now. His chance is right. He's about to be a first-round draft pick. He's got the chance. He will earn more based on this one contract than I think he might ever earn playing baseball. Here are the facts, okay? Mike Trout might have signed for $1 gazillion.
It has nothing to do with
but
Mike
you do
Trout.
not make a lot of money in baseball until you've been in baseball,
It has nothing to do
professional,
with-
for 5, 6,
Exactly.
7 years.
Well, not even
You've
5,
gotta-
6, 7,
you've
3 or
gotta
4 or
be-
5.
You've got to be the cream of the cream in baseball to even make it to the
But
point
Joe,
where you're
can
getting
I-
a
can
good
I-
contract.
Can I cut
agree,
you off
though?
one time?
Would you not agree, though, Joe, by playing football, winning the Heisman, and making himself this kind of NFL prospect, he's increased his leverage with Major League Baseball, and they've upped the ante, the Oakland A's, in terms of what they would give him.
And that was another opportunity he had to prove what he loved, and he turned down upwards of $10 million from the A's after the Heisman Trophy to say, nope, I'm not coming. They offered him another bonus of over $10 million. But I think that being a great baseball player at the major league level is significantly more difficult than playing quarterback in the National Football League.
Yes, but you don't have to be a great baseball player. That's the difference. You have to be a great quarterback.
Oh,
you don't have to be a great to make $100 million in baseball.
You could be
got to be great.
Lower class of football as a quarterback and make $16 million. Go
Not,
out there and be a sorry baseball player. You're not making
no
$16 million.
NFL team is keeping a 5'10" quarterback as a backup for 14, 15 years.
I ain't say backup.
So he's not going to make no
starter.
money.
A lower rung starter.
I'm telling you, if he's not elite, if he's not great, if he's not in those top 3, 4, 5, 6 quarterbacks.
We're saying middle class,
this
lower
is my
class.
point.
That's his
he's
point.
already to that point. See, he's already to that point where he's going to make $25 or more million guaranteed. To get to that point in baseball, do you understand how long that takes? Let me lay it out for you.
No. Hold on. I grew up with guys. I played with B.J. Upton. I played with Ryan Zimmerman. I played with David Wright. From the time we were little kids till grown men, we still talk. These are guys who picked baseball over every other sport. I was playing baseball with them. I said, no, you know what? I love football. I'm going to stick with football. And yes, I'm not a quarterback. But like I said, Joe, the only difference is the position. If he's a great quarterback, yes, he'll make more money. But if he's an average quarterback, say RG3. RG3 won Rookie of the Year, won a Heisman Trophy.
That's not average.
And he stood out of, but hold up. No, I'm saying he won a Heisman Trophy. He was Offensive Rookie of the Year, all right? He had immediate success.
He
was out the league for a year. Now he's making, what, $2 or $3 million as a backup quarterback? I'm telling you, if RG had the chance to play baseball, he would have made more money if he was a decent baseball player.
Here's the difference.
Made $25 million.
Here's the difference.
When he was drafted.
I get it, right? I get it. And you're right to some degree. But the road for Kyler to get to the point where he would make more money playing baseball is still so long. Okay, so here's how a baseball contract works. You sign after the draft, right? And now your clock starts.
Yeah.
Okay, so they've got 3 years to put you on the 40-man roster. So you can be making zero money for 3 years. Then they put you on the 40-man roster.
Well, he's a little different because he got the big bonus, but
he did get the big bonus, but it's not
anywhere close.
They're going to
accelerate
close to what the NFL is going to give.
I get it, but they're going to accelerate the process for him, Joel.
Then if you make it to the big leagues, then you've got 3 more years where you've got to play great just to get to the point where you're in arbitration. I didn't say free agency. I said arbitration.
Right.
So all I'm saying is you've got 7 years to prove yourself ahead of him just to make that money that you're talking about.
It's a little when you're one of those top 5, 10 draft picks, it's a little bit different. But
I don't disagree, but he's about to be a top 10.
And RG3, grade him where you want. He's already made $30 million on the field. And I'm betting that Kyler Murray's experience would be greater than RG3's experience. So we're not even factoring in the marketing difference between baseball and football as a young player prospect. Like, while we're still selling the hope of Kyler Murray going forward, they're going to be cashing in off the field.
But Marcellus, here, my point would be Kyler Murray and Kevin Murray, his dad, they do not lack in confidence at all.
Yes.
At all. Look at the way they've played this game. And so you can't convince me that Kevin Murray or Kyler don't believe. If he goes to baseball, in their mind, he's going to be a success. And within 7 years or so, he's going to get to the bag, the big bag.
What if I told you?
That was kind of my thing, too. If we're saying he's going to be a really good quarterback because he hadn't devoted all his time, imagine hitting, man. You know how great you become as a hitter when you see pitches?
NFL sport.
If this dude puts his time in.
It's hard, man.
It's still hard. It's a failure sport.
I tell you, it's hard now.
If you say so.
I will say this. He will have made by Thursday night more money off the field in this draft process than he would have with the A's bonus. He's already made that up. He's already made up what he lost in giving that signing bonus back because it's the NFL.
Joe, I'll just say this, though. We've spent an enormous amount of time here talking about money.
Yeah.
And the NFL understands all that. You're going to make your money, Kyler. But what the question is, are you committed to this game of football? And that is the question that may have this kid.
He's proved it several times.
He's he's proven to me that he and his dad have put together a hell of a game plan to get him in position to have all kinds of options. And if we really look at football and who excels the best, most consistently, it's guys without options.
I would say this about Kyler Murray. In a world where actions speak louder than words, we have to respect that his commitment has been demonstrated through his excellence. Like the old way of focus used to be defined by football coaches especially. Throw one dot on the wall and focus on it. Eat, sleep, drink that dot. Football. And then the modern player says, no, I'm going to have multiple dots up there, but I'm going to prioritize and I'm going to let you know what's most important in order. And I think Kyler Murray's about the same prioritization of all modern athletes. Like there are more than one dot on that wall, but I know exactly in order where to give my time and energy. And I think it's been demonstrated by his abilities.
And so I just want to say this last thing because I think D'Angelo was right in terms of, I think in these interviews, he remains a mystery. And that's why it's like no one can put their finger on what are his priorities. We think we're speculating, but his dad's doing a lot of the talking, and when we talk to him, we don't get the same feel. It doesn't feel like Baker Mayfield. It doesn't feel like Deshaun Watson. It doesn't feel
Even
like
Baker
Patrick Mahomes.
He was tilted a little too far the other side.
I will listen. Does he have to impress 15 teams? 30?
No. He got to impress the Cardinals.
One.
Yeah, he got to impress the Cardinals. I'm not sure. Pete Prisco says it's not happening. Hey guys, Jason Whitlock here. Thank you for listening to the Speak for Yourself podcast. If you like what you hear, then you should take a minute to check out the Maybe I'm Crazy podcast hosted by the Herd's very own Joy Taylor. On the Maybe I'm Crazy podcast, you'll tap into a different take on the world of sports. Joy will break down all the biggest stories from the NFL, NBA, culture, in and out of sports, and everything in between. So subscribe now for a weekly episode of Maybe I'm Crazy every Tuesday night on your favorite podcast platform. Now back to the show. Time for a big story. Let's go to Philadelphia, where the Eagles are hoping Carson Wentz can stay healthy now that Nick Foles is left for Jacksonville. With Wentz on the shelf, Foles led the Eagles to a Super Bowl 2 years ago and another playoff win last season. Former Eagles quarterback Donovan McNabb has his doubts about Wentz and thinks the organization should have him on a short leash.
I think personally, if he can't get out of the second round in the next maybe 3 years, really 2 years, to be honest with you, if he can't get out of the second round, they should look to possibly draft another quarterback because you just don't know about his durability. Staying healthy is very key in this league, and it really is pertaining on the success of the quarterback. And that's the team only goes as far as their quarterback takes them. And they put so much of their eggs in the basket with Carson Wentz, and he's got to prove that in the next 2 years.
I don't even find this remotely controversial, what Donovan McNabb said. Eagles tackle Lane Johnson responded to McNabb's take on Twitter with a bunch of snake emojis and a quote, and you wonder why nobody respects you when you come back. I think it's comical what Lane said, but I don't find McNabb's comments that controversial. I think it's...
I mean, I think if Donovan would have expanded on it, if he would have said, look, Carson has 2 years before you pay him $30 million a year. If he can't show that he can get your team out of the second round of the playoffs, if he doesn't show that he can stay healthy, then maybe you can't pay him that $30 million. Maybe. But as we know in the National Football League, quarterbacks are hard to find. And so to think that they're just going to, in 2 years, let this guy walk, knowing they gave up a lot to get him and draft him,
You're right.
I don't see it happening. Like you said, I don't think it's too outrageous what Donovan said, but I would have liked for him to say, because you can't pay him $30 million, a guy who has only played, because he can't stay healthy.
But what you can't do is put your thoughts into his quotes and just say it sounds better now. You know why?
You're right.
Taking on his face, there was a misdemeanor violation of the player code. And it could be a felony. It could be a felony if you really want to dig.
Take us to court.
I'll take you to court right now. I need Joel. Here's the thing. The violation is, we talked about this a couple of days ago with Brett Favre in terms of Aaron Rodgers. When it's your position, when it's your franchise, when you come out in criticism, tread lightly. He didn't necessarily tread lightly, but he didn't go all the way in. But here's the problem. all he did was give us a medical report in terms of analysis. Now, if you're Donovan McNabb at the position, former great of that franchise, we need more about why he doesn't deserve the money or the opportunity if he doesn't win. But if all you're going to do is just go out there and say, well, if he can't stay healthy, that's for every single player that plays in the NFL. If you're not available, guess what? You don't have the ability for us to invest in you. So I didn't get anything from McNabb. It was nothing profound from that, which took me to maybe it was dripping with a little bit of the issue that Lane Johnson and others took with it.
Yeah.
Like, why would you come out and say something
Yeah.
and not say anything unless you really are trying to say something a little more subtle? And that's where the violation comes in.
And Donovan McNabb knows this Philadelphia fan base.
Say it.
He knows this Philadelphia media. He knows exactly what to say and what not to say
And
to
what
get
not
under
to
their
say to
skin.
get it said.
Yeah, because if Carson gets hurt next year, what's going to be the story now? Oh, Donovan was right. You know, it's going to go back to him.
And that's
it's going to
every
go
play.
back to him.
And that's the
You played with Donovan
Yep.
in Washington. Your reaction to Lane Johnson's comments?
You know what? By the time we got Donovan, he was a different player. You know, we traded for him thinking, heck, this dude beat us twice the year before. We got a good player. You know, we got a guy who wasn't the best option for our team to win. You know, a guy who wasn't making good throws, wasn't making good decisions out there, and was hurting us when it came to winning football games. And so he was benched. Donovan no longer was the guy. And so he was a little bit different. He was, I mean, you know, he wasn't the star that he was in Philly. So we saw a different Donovan. And he was a great teammate, great guy to be around. We went out, hung out together. I mean, he was a good guy. And so maybe some of that.
The snake deal doesn't
The
land
snake
well
deal
with
doesn't apply to his time in Washington.
Well, listen to
not
what
at
he's
all.
saying. If you say snake and he says why no one respects you, think about it. In Philadelphia, you had to respect this game. So why no one respects you, even though you're the man, must mean something personal between the ears, how it lands in the locker room. How did he land in your locker room based on the adversity he was facing on the field?
He was great. He was great. He never let anything on the field affect the way he was in the locker room. You know, it was even situations as far as, you know, the offense and the offensive coordinator kind of calling them out at the time. It was Mike Shanahan and Kyle.
Well, that hurts.
Would call Donovan McNabb out. It would be in offensive meetings, so we wouldn't even get wind of it until Donovan would come in the locker room. Oh, man, you wouldn't believe, you know, what happened. You know, well, how did you handle it? I didn't say anything, you know, which he could have blew up, which you see a lot of players blow up because no one likes the spotlight on them. Donovan was like, nah, you know, I just took him in the office, told him, you know, you didn't need to necessarily keep going at me. You know, when you tell me something the first time, I understand you. I got you. I'll be better. Obviously, he wasn't better because we moved on and went with a different quarterback midway through that season.
What's crazy about this is we all know, we do keep in mind the legacy play within the organization. Donovan McNabb linked to the Philadelphia Eagles. I know when I played, I had my highs with the Chargers. And I left the Chargers, we were in a contentious relationship. I was mad at them, they were mad at me. But we've been able to repair that relationship to the tune of I'm hosting the draft party this week. Now, it's amazing to me, and doesn't you find this a little odd that McNabb seems like he's shredding and grating at the same legacy that he helped build in Philadelphia? There are a lot of warts in that relationship.
And I don't know how often he goes back. You know, I don't even know if he left with a bad taste in his mouth because remember, he was replaced by Michael Vick and traded to Washington, to us. And so I don't know how that dynamic of that relationship worked out, but you see a lot of guys, you see Brian Dawkins who's still in that organization doing things, Westbrook doing things.
I think
and
Marcellus
you don't
hit
see
a great
McNabb.
point. He ain't happy. I just think personally, just he's not happy. And when you're not, misery loves company. Let me share some with Philadelphia. Y'all ain't got the right quarterback. He may be injury prone. Not the best look. I don't have a real problem with it. Right. He's the wrong messenger. Maybe like me preaching to you about losing weight. Elsewhere in the NFC East, the draft is just a few days away, and the NFL just released a commercial with Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott sending a message to potential #1 pick Kyler Murray.
What's up, Kyler? It's Dak.
The 135th pick, Dak Prescott.
Trust me, I know what it's like to be doubted.
He's entirely too small. He shouldn't even play quarterback.
Remember, though, doubt is a gift. It takes you to the next level.
He's the best player in college football.
So what if they doubt you? They doubted me, too. Go get him, bro.
You know what he should have said? They're still doubting me right now. That's why I can't get a contract extension. So go out there and kill him, Kyler. You don't want to be doubted like me.
Right.
I don't know if this was smart to do this commercial.
No, it was dumb. And I hate to go to that. I hate to go to that extreme, but it's dumb because I'm looking out for Dak. If I'm in Dak's camp, one thing I'm not selling anymore is the narrative of people still doubting me. I'm in contract talks. I'm having open public negotiations with the Dallas Cowboys. I need to let everybody know, don't doubt me. I'm a bona fide star in this game. I have the second most wins at the quarterback position in this game. And if you want to think of me as a Don Dada, a supreme premium player, instead of a guy that they're still doubting at the 135th pick who only won one playoff game. You keep selling that narrative and mapping onto that. Stephen Johnson somewhere just laughing and loving this moment. So, Dak, sell yourself the right way.
I'm laughing because it's a very beautiful commercial, and I love the sentiment of the commercial. If Tom Brady's telling me this, who was doubted as a 6th-round draft pick and has gone on to be considered the GOAT and won championships,
right?
Then it holds a little bit more weight.
Say it.
And that, you know, in this league, you're compared by the rings, you know, obviously Pro Bowls and things like that, but the rings really is what makes you who you are, the champion pedigree. And we don't know if you have any, Dak, so yeah, we're definitely still doubting you, buddy. You're a good quarterback, but I still need to see a lot more from him. And so, you know, the messenger for this commercial was the wrong messenger, but maybe Tom was busy.
I don't have a problem with Dak Prescott playing they doubted me card. And I'm here, and people still doubt. I like leaning into that thing Tom Brady leans into. Michael Jordan at the top, you know, he's still looking for people to doubt him. I like that. I don't like him attaching this to Kyler Murray.
Right.
Because Kyler Murray was a top 5-star recruit coming out of high school, 1st-round pick in Major League Baseball, Heisman Trophy winner, and scheduled to be the #1 pick in the NFL draft, possibly, certainly top 10. Kyler Murray's not doubted.
He's just short.
Right. Yeah. And if he is doubted, guess what? The punishment ain't gonna be the same. Somebody gonna be top 10 and you are 135. Like it's almost like it's okay to play that card, play that hand, but read that little card in Vegas. It says minimum bets. You playing it at the wrong table. Dak is playing this at the wrong table. These are high stakes. What we're talking about. He won't even fall to a position to be compared to Dak. It's almost like it was a lazy script. And it was like, we got a brown-skinned quarterback. Who's another brown-skinned quarterback? Dak. Okay, let's get them together. Who else got doubted? You got doubted? Oh, but you got doubted completely.
What about this, Marcellus? What if it's really what D'Angelo says? Like, there were other people, like Tom Brady, I ain't got time for that. And some other quarterbacks are like, nah, I don't want to do that. I'm good.
Deshaun Watson.
And so people just start saying, nah, that ain't something I want to do.
It happens.
And Dak took the check.
Tell them how it happens in the NFL
Well, I'm
office.
just saying, just like you remember what happened. Cam did something and got kicked off the yoga commercial.
Oh, right.
Who was next up? With the star on their helmet. Dak Prescott went and got the yoga commercial. He was next in line. Sometimes it's nice to be
sloppy
next in line.
seconds.
Yeah, sloppy seconds pay checks too, you know?
Yeah, they pay checks too, but man, this is just a bad look in terms of what you attach. It's almost like a baby clout chase, even though you're still getting doubted. And you should turn the page on you being doubted if you really want to get the respect of the Cowboys organization. Just a bad play all around.
Joining us now is FS1 NBA insider and senior writer at Bleacher Report, Rick Bucher. Let's talk Mr. Next Question, Russell Westbrook, whose disdain for the media is getting as much attention as his poor play. The Thunder lost again last night, 111-98, and now trail the Trailblazers 3-1 as the series shifts back to Portland. Westbrook was horrible last night, scoring just 14 points on 5 for 21 shooting, and was held without a field goal in the entire second half. After the game, the TNT crew didn't hold back on OKC's deficiencies.
I would say it's a wrap. I don't like the way they play. And you would think Paul George and Westbrook would know better. We need this game. We got to do everything right. They're playing hero ball. They're taking crazy shots. They're just, trying to shoot the three. They've been doing that all year. Every time they get down, they try to come back with the fancy moves and shoot the three to try to get them back in the game. It's helped them sometimes, but in a playoff situation, it's not going to help you.
That was a hell of a conversation they had last night, trashing the Thunder and Russell Westbrook. Is the feud with Trammell, the poor play, I think Russell Westbrook is redefining his reputation, and not in a good way.
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly taking a hit right now in terms of reputation. The 2K rating going down, the Q rating going down. No more fun and pregame close conversation. It's now like we run out of options in terms of what's the issue with this organization, and now the issue with you, Russell Westbrook. We were talking about the roster. You know, it's been 3 years now post-KD, the roster, the coaching. Oh, you know what? Maybe it's the playing style. No, maybe it's just you, because you now become the common denominator for all these ills. So, yeah, he's definitely taking a hit.
Well, he's gotten everything that he could want. He got a guy who committed to him in Paul George, right? The town is his. He's got the money. He has everything that he needs. And what I saw this year for the first time was a guy who was trying to utilize the pieces around him. And this is the most startling discovery for me. Is I always thought it was a matter of, okay, he just has to understand he can't do it all by himself. He's not going to get there relying solely on him. He discovered that. And this is what's a little more tragic. Discovering that and trying to find a way to marry his abilities with the abilities of the players around him, that's a gift. That's a talent. That's an ability. I'm beginning to wonder whether Russell Westbrook actually has that ability to marry those two. Because now when you saw it in Game 4, he was unselfish down the stretch. He was getting everybody else in. I'm not hitting shots. I'm going to get everybody else involved. You can't stop. On that team, you can't stop being Russell Westbrook. You just got to find a way to combine it with the talent around you. We saw Damian Lillard do that. Damian Lillard it's not all I score or I set everybody up. It's a blend of the two. That's what makes them so effective. Russell Westbrook is not showing me that he's capable of doing the two at the same time.
I go to what I said a couple weeks ago, playing with anger. And
not anger, rage.
Rage.
Because it's over the top.
Yes.
It's not, I'm mad.
Yes, and so I make bad decisions when I'm angry, really bad decisions. I think most people do. It's the wrong emotion for a point guard. And I think he's going to have a total personality makeover, which, look, we've seen Tiger Woods get counseling for whatever his issues were. Russell Westbrook, to me, needs some counseling about handling his emotions, because his lack of control of his emotions is making him make poor basketball decisions and look for conflict virtually everywhere.
Yeah, it's interesting. Rick was talking about the extremes and not the blend, the nuance part of the game that he's not excelling at. And we talk about rage, anger. I say intensity. That intensity works in normal circumstances. We have countless examples of guys, whether you want to go to Clayton Kershaw in other sports or Peyton Manning, or you want to stay with Russell Westbrook, where in normal moments they excel. And then when there are intense moments, and then you map that onto that intensity, combustion. Like, you just don't know how to see things clearly and as nuanced as you need to in those moments.
Well, if you have baseball, if you're talking about a pitcher, he pitches every 5 days. He can go out there every 5th day and play with a certain rage. If you're in football, you're only playing on one side of the ball. And even that, it's not every snap. Basketball, you're out there almost all the time. You've got to play the long game. Yeah. You're not going to – when I saw him in Game 4 knock down a 3 and he's going wild, I'm thinking, you have to know better at this point. These are the playoffs. You're not winning a playoff game in the second quarter. I don't care how big that shot is. You've got to be able to sustain that energy and think the game. There's playing hard and then there's playing smart. We've never doubted that Russell Westbrook plays hard. But everybody in the playoffs plays hard. You play hard during the regular season, you're going to beat a lot of teams. Everybody plays hard in the postseason. Now it's a matter of who's going to play the smartest. And Russell Westbrook, I hate to say it, is losing in that game right now.
I can think of one guy that I would compare Russell Westbrook to, Cam Newton. It's not in basketball, obviously. Cam Newton, the quarterback for the small market team, MVP of the league, carried his team to a Super Bowl, didn't win it. In a small market where you have all kinds of control, they need you more than you need them. That's the situation Westbrook is in. And with Cam Newton, when the ownership, Jerry Richardson and Ron Rivera, were working in concert and helping shepherd Cam Newton along, and that's what I don't see in OKC. I don't see ownership working with Billy Donovan trying to shepherd this guy in a healthier direction.
Well, it's one of those tricky things where you need to have a coach that Russ believes has the answers for him. I had a GM tell me this the other day. He said, if I had Russ, I would tell him the first 40 minutes are yours. The last 8 minutes are mine if I'm the coach, which means go out and do your thing for 40 minutes. But when we get to the final 8 minutes, it's going to be my plan, and we're going to utilize all this. And I just don't see that. To the very end, Russ, every time he gets the ball, it looks to me like he's figuring it out as he goes along, as opposed to there's a grand master plan to this.
Well, you know, I mean, we could take it from the psychotherapy and just take it back on the court. And we may be overthinking this. Let's just be real. The game is passing Russell Westbrook by, and right now we're seeing him respond to that. He can't shoot in a shooter's league. If you think about it, since post-KD, what's happened? His effective field goal percentage has gone down. His free throw percentage has gone down. And his three-point shooting has gone down to 29%. There are 7-footers walking around right now in the NBA shooting better than Russell Westbrook right now. So what comes from that? Tenacity and just Wile E. Coyote going out there trying to make this all happen because he knows he can't do what other point guards can do, which is be a threat on the perimeter.
The thing is I look at his form. There's nothing wrong with his form. He doesn't lean either way. He goes straight up. The release, all of that is fine. He's an emotional shooter. If you watch how he shoots, whether he's got a quick release or whether he holds his form or how he shoots, the speed and the rhythm of his shooting changes depending on how he feels from moment to moment. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert in shooting, but I know this. You're looking for consistency all the time. You want to take the emotion out of it. You want to take the thinking out of it. You want it to be all muscle memory and to be exactly the same every time. Russ doesn't even pretend to go for that. It is wherever his heart is at the moment is where he's and how he's going to shoot it, and that is not a recipe for a high percentage.
His spirit isn't calm. He needs some yoga. He needs some meditation. He needs something.
But here's the thing. This is what got him to where he was. He was always doubted. For a guy to let go of the formula that got him to where he is and say, now for you to take that last step, you have to totally change. Good luck.
D'Angelo Hall's back with us. Marcellus, it's time for my favorite segment, Antisocial. Darnell Smith.
What up, y'all?
Came through.
We hook you up with any t-shirts yet?
No, that drip. I like that drip.
You like the drip? What size you need?
You fly, man. I need a large.
Need a large?
Large?
Look like a medium, don't
You
he?
ain't got no X's on you?
I ain't got no X's.
Large?
That's the DB, Marcelo.
I'm about to say, what are we in the 9th grade again?
All right, what's poppin', Darnell?
Yes, sir. We're going to start off with Dez Bryant. Yesterday, he was spotted at the airport by a random fan who asked to take a picture with him, only to go online to see that the fan clowned him afterwards, saying, ran into Dez at the airport. Dude couldn't even catch his flight. Dez responded, explaining why he was at the airport and claimed that the fan begged to take a picture with him. Did this cross the line?
Yeah, in my opinion. I mean, you ask for this kind of favor, then you clown the person.
Right.
This is a bad look for fans.
It is a bad look. 10 years ago, I was like, this crossed the line, but it's all based on expectations, man. You go hiking, and if a snake jumps out and bites you, the snake crossed the line? No, because you know what you into now. No, when I engage with fans now, I'm expecting the worst, and I'm surprised when it goes well. It's just a different reality.
But you know what the problem is? Dez is still a player. Now that I'm actually a fan now, I see where the fans coming from. They definitely, any chance they get to strike or do something that gets their name in the paper, fans gonna do it, man. Dez should have been smarter about that.
It's a different
But you know how
terrain.
many fans ask, man, can I take a picture? Even though I don't really like whatever team you played for. I'm like, well, why you want to take a picture?
Well, and the flip, how about fans that talk bad about you, but when they see you starstruck, oh, let me get this picture. You know where it's coming from, so it could take a turn, man. Dez got caught.
Moving over to my guy Tiger Woods, who won his 15th major after a huge comeback victory at the Masters, and it looks like Tiger still hasn't quit celebrating. He was seen having dinner at his restaurant in Florida, still rocking his Masters green jacket. Fans seem to love this new version of Tiger. But should Tiger act like he's been there before?
You know what? That's what the coaches all tell you.
I
Act like
know.
you've been there before.
Yeah.
Why you spiking the football?
Yeah.
But hell, if I went 10 years without
There you go.
Being there.
I ain't been there before, so
There you go.
I done forgot what it felt like. So yeah.
There you go.
Bam, bam. Coaches always say that. That only works for the first time, coach. Okay, you know what? I got here. But now you know how hard it is to get back here?
Right.
Every sack I got, man, I turned that thing into Soul Train, man. What the hell what you talking about, coach? It's hard to get that quarterback.
It
bro.
works when you're in that moment, but to take a 10-year hiatus like Tiger did and come back and win one, especially when everybody in the world doubted him, man, Tiger, wear that jacket, man. You better be sleeping in that jacket.
Right. Butt nigga with a jacket on. That's what I do. That's my pajamas.
Switching over to the NBA, where the 76ers and Nets series continues to get more chippy. The two teams got to a huge pushing battle that led to both Jared Dudley and Jimmy Butler getting ejected and fined for escalating the on-court incident. After the game, Joel Embiid added more fuel to the fire, calling Dudley a nobody. Guys, do you like seeing this bad blood in the playoffs?
Love it. Wish they hadn't ejected anybody, though. The refs overreacted.
Right.
But this, to me, was like, oh, yeah, this is the NBA. It's for real. This matters. I love it.
Yeah, man. There was a lot of mushing going on, so
Yeah.
I don't know. Somebody got to get ejected. They were doing a lot of mushing, but it's funny to see them fight, knowing that there's a penalty of getting suspended,
Right.
so I can't throw a punch. It was kind of funny to see a lot of all the but not the full thing. But yeah, it's great for us.
I love it, man. It takes me back to that old school mentality of basketball where guys were going at each other and they didn't necessarily hang out with each other every offseason because, heck, I want to beat you just like you want to beat me. So I loved it. I love Jimmy Butler coming to his guys' defense. That's part of the reason they went and got Jimmy Butler. He gives that team the attitude that they needed, man.
I want to shout out Jared Dudley. He started it. I kind of like that. All right, next.
Yeah, sticking with the NBA, where a new candidate for the Cavs head coaching job emerged this weekend. According to NBA report, former University of Louisville head coach Rick Pitino has spoken with the team owner Dan Gilbert about the Cavaliers coaching vacancy. Twitter had mixed feelings about the idea. Pitino was dismissed by Louisville in 2017 amid several NCAA-related scandals and has been coaching overseas. He also had a 4-year stint in the NBA as a head coach for the Celtics. Do you guys want to see Rick Pitino back in the NBA?
I do. I love Rick Pitino.
Yeah?
I'd love to play for him, go to strip club with him,
I'm
whatever.
about to say, how the cafes in Cleveland? You know, Rick gonna be up in that thing. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I mean, look, he has a lot of. You talking about 9 lives? Rick Pitino, he must coach the hell out of some basketball.
Hey, I was a huge Rick Pitino fan when he was down in Kentucky, so I love this guy. I want to see him back in the NBA.
Yeah.
Man, let's do it.
He shuts down a restaurant like none other.
Let's do it.
All y'all gotta go except y'all.
Slick Rick.
Right.
We used to call it Pimp Tino. All right. Time now for Darnell's question of the day. Darnell, take it away.
All right, guys, so I came across this video on Twitter of Sierra braiding Russell Wilson's hair, and we all talked about it before. Russ's reputation has been looked at as pretty corny, and surprising or not, I've been called corny myself because maybe I don't fit a certain description. So
No surprise.
No surprise.
I'm about to say.
No.
In a good way, though.
Yeah.
In a good
See, how you get that?
All right, anyway, let me finish my question. How do you
You
guys...
got this job because you corny. Go ahead.
Corny's good then, I guess. How do you guys handle when people say you don't meet the black male stereotype?
Man, boy.
That's a good question.
That's a great question.
Yeah, I mean, the black male stereotype. I mean, I get hit with the stereotype of who people perceive me to be. And so I get that a lot, whereas, man, you're kind of cool, man. Like, you know, I expect you to be this big turd like everyone makes you out to be. So not so much the black male stereotype. What do they want Russ to wear? Bunch of jewelry and diamond necklaces.
He's leaning that direction. He getting cornrows now.
Yeah, he's getting a little more
But
soul.
let's be real, our culture has gatekeepers, man. Like black expression is limited by these gatekeepers. You can't do this, you can do this. Oh, that ain't black enough, you a coon. You're like, we know how it goes, right? And I've lived that my whole life, bro. And then you add on top of being a black male that I was educated and I prioritized academics. So then I was nerd on top of that. Then I'm from Compton and the hood and everybody like, you ain't gangster enough. So I've been hearing this my whole life. And my grandma told me one scripture that crystallized it all for me. She said, the gates to heaven are narrow and few come between. So when she told me that, she like, most people gonna have you wrong. Most people gonna be doing it wrong. So make sure if you on that little narrow path, brother, keep on trucking. And it saved me.
You crystallized something that I've thought for a long time, but I just never heard it explained that way in terms of there are gatekeepers for our culture.
Hell yeah.
And I'm not sure if that's true to other groups in
Doesn't
terms
seem that way.
of they have more freedom
Yes.
Well, I wouldn't say gatekeepers, but there's people that's going to call you out. And I wouldn't call them the gatekeepers, but it's just the black experience is looked at with a close eye. And so, yes, in a sense of gatekeepers, but there aren't necessarily.
Look, they don't close the gate, but they sit there and patrol who comes in and out. Kaepernick with the Super Bowl, whatever the latest
but
example.
Who would that gatekeeper
Gucci, you
be?
can't do this. People
I
always.
guess as a society,
but
guess.
D, just growing up,
police
seriously.
ourselves.
Yeah, but just seriously, I mean, growing up, I can remember going to public school '83 in Indianapolis, and it was like, oh, I got good grades there. And I was like, oh man, you trying to act white?
Right.
Come on, we hear that all the time.
Right.
And it was like, now look, when my mother moved us up out of the hood to a working class neighborhood, my grades were just okay. So I fit in a little bit, but still going to college, and then it's like you start. Oh, you speak proper English?
Yeah.
You know, you don't butcher the language or speak any Ebonics all the time. Oh, you trying to sound white? No,
Yeah.
I'm trying to sound like I want to get a job,
Right.
and take care of me and my family.
You know what's crazy? My friends from other backgrounds, ethnicities say they have the same stuff going on, but it's not mainstream for their culture, which is weird. Like, every culture has people like, that's not how we do it, that's not how we roll, but then it stays within. For us, it gets out, and then we actually make example of those who violate. So it's a little bit of public spanking that we do a lot of times in our own culture. Whatever.
I wonder, when I saw this video and Russ was again toying with his voice again, not in typical Russ voice, and then he's getting cornrows, and I'm looking at Sierra with these long fingernails braiding his hair, and I'm like, is she really braiding his hair? Or is this a video they putting out?
She probably braiding his hair.
I bet she's braiding his hair.
Because she probably braiding little man hair too, you know?
Yeah, but that's the thing. Why do you have to choose? Why you got to go lean one way or the other? The coolest thing about him is that he's not that cool, and I'm not that cool, and I respect that. But when you try to be cool, that's when you start losing me a little bit. But
I'm growing my hair out. Hopefully I'll get braids.
man,
Try to look cool with that ears.
That boat sailed on me.
Whitlock and Wiley joining the show once again is NBA insider Rick Bucher. Let's talk Warriors, who are rolling after beating the Clippers yesterday and taking a 3-1 series lead. Draymond Green looks quicker and leaner after it was revealed that Golden State general manager Bob Myers confronted him about his weight after the All-Star break. Green responded by dropping 23 pounds as he began a postseason reconstruction project 6 weeks ago as the Warriors pursue their third straight title. I don't think this is a good look for Draymond or the NBA that he's rolling into a contract year and decide he's going to be overweight during the regular season, and the GM has to get on him to get him into proper shape for the postseason. Not a good look for Draymond.
not at all. Validation of the criticism of Draymond, which some say he's not a max player, which some say he wouldn't be a star if he were to go elsewhere. So it really hurts his leverage, especially coming into a contract year when nothing's really changed around him. If you talk about this was a guy last year who was an all-star. This is a guy last year they did win a championship, and he's used to those experiences. And then coming into the opportunity to go on the yellow brick road to the riches, this is how you show up, and to lose 23 pounds in the prime of your life, that means you really let yourself go, and that's a bad look for Dre.
Well, we've talked about, guys, we talked about Westbrook in terms of he's done a certain way and it's got him to where he is, and so why change? This is the same with Draymond Green. Draymond Green was a bad body guy coming out of Michigan State, and he was early on in his career in the NBA. And then he realized, for me to get paid, I've got to change this, and dedicated himself to doing that. Remade his body, remade his game, and on we go. After winning 2 championships last summer, first of all, I can tell you, Draymond Green enjoys life.
Oh, yeah.
He loves life.
I've seen him.
And last summer, he enjoyed it to the max. He came into the season not in shape. He got a number of nagging injuries as a result of that. So I believe in part, his ability to get in shape, to get the kind of shape that he needed to get into, was a challenge for a good part of this season. So yes, they probably came to him and said, hey, it's time to turn back the clock, and he did. But he's had success doing it this way. My real question is, and you could probably answer this better, like when you take this quick approach to getting in shape, you may look good, you may be lighter, But are you really in the kind of shape that you need to be in to go through the grind of a postseason where those minutes are harder than any you've played?
Yeah, I answer it like coaches and nutritionists would tell you. The war can't be avoided, just postponed. So whatever you're going to have to deal with, you just pushed it a little further down the road. And it may be this playoff series, it may be this playoff run, it may be next year, but a time going forward, you may see this become an issue and an occurrence for Draymond. You got to be careful because it's a bad look. You got 4 other all-stars around you, and you feel cushioned. The old NFL model, come into training camp and then get into shape, that's just dated.
Well, here's the other thing. Let's not take the performance against the Clippers in the first round as a referendum that all is well with Draymond and his game and the Warriors. These are not good matchups for the Clippers, and they are advantageous matchups for Draymond. So let me see him against Houston and maybe somebody else before I go, oh, you know what? No problem. Lost the weight. He's back to being Draymond.
Here's the question I have for you, Rick and Marcellus. If KD isn't leaving, would the Golden State be as committed to re-signing Draymond Green? I wonder if part of the sales pitch to KD this offseason might be, we'll move on from Draymond.
I don't think that that's the distinction, and I don't think that's going to be the difference maker. It's interesting. I've been talking to some people around the league about what's the value of Draymond Green outside of the Warriors. He is more valuable to them than he is to anybody else. Yeah. He goes outside of there. He's not getting a max deal from somebody else. Somebody went so far as to say, you know what, a year from now, at his age, you're probably looking at a mid-level exception type of deal because the feeling is that, yes, he's perfect for them, but only them with that kind of talent. You're going to bring him someplace else, he's not going to have the same effect. I would say, on the other hand, he is vital to them. Like, if you take him away, I don't think they're anywhere close to being the same team, even if they do keep Kevin Durant.
Well, the basketball purist KD will feel the sting of the earlier dust-up between them and say, how dare you, man? You're playing, they know each other. You're playing yourself into shape, and this is how you come at me. So when I have a decision to make, how much of this collective is bought in? Those kind of situations come back.
I don't know if there's that much thought into it. I think it's a matter for where their relationship is and where the Warriors are is, okay, dude, show me what you got. Like, how you got there, I don't care. You're either delivering or you're not. And if you don't, that's only going to add for my reasons to do something else.
All right, before we go, I have a few additional thoughts on OKC point guard Russell Westbrook, who has spent much of the season bullying Daily Oklahoman sports columnist Barry Trammell. In pre- and post-game interviews, Westbrook has refused to answer Trammell's questions. Trammell, to his credit, refuses to quit asking Westbrook thoughtful and respectful questions and has even written a column earlier this month explaining his actions and speculating on Westbrook's motives. Trammell wrote, I keep asking with no hope of getting an answer because the media shouldn't give in to Westbrook's desire to control everything. That's the seed of Westbrook's frustration with me in particular and the media in general. Control. He is frustrated that the media is out of his control. Last night, the TNT postgame crew discussed Westbrook's boorish behavior. Golden State head coach Steve Kerr called Westbrook's antics dangerous for the NBA. Westbrook is a pampered, spoiled egomaniac in a league that caters to them. He's following the lead of San Antonio Spurs head coach Greg Popovich, the original control freak and media bully. Shortly after the NBA's television partners paid a rights fee of $7.4 billion in 2007, then Commissioner David Stern agreed to give ESPN, ABC, and TNT the right to briefly interview the head coaches during the game. And shortly after that, Popovich began his now infamous surly protest. Twice a game on national TV, Pop expresses his disdain for the media. I'm sure he'd argue he's just expressing his disdain for the stupidity of in-game interviews. But perception is reality. Pop, the NBA's elder statesman, arguably the most respected man in the league, created the perception that the media are beneath him. It's not just in-game interviews. When the mood strikes him, Pop delights in embarrassing a reporter for asking what he believes to be a bad question. Here he is after the Thunder eliminated the Spurs in the 2016 playoffs.
Obviously, the outcome did not come in your favor, but
that's obvious. Yes.
Yeah.
You're right on it as usual.
You happy with the fight that your team showed in the fourth
Happy's
quarter?
not a word that,
I'm
that
sorry.
really
Are you
for me.
Right before the fourth quarter, I noticed you were talking to Tim for a while. You might want to share what you said to him and just what it meant.
Really?
Really?
You think I'm going to share what I spoke to Tim about?
No one should be surprised that Westbrook has followed Pop's lead. The NBA media now celebrate his jerk routine. We all laugh at his condescending attitude and retorts. It's a badge of honor among sideline reporters to be jokingly bullied by Pop. He's made us part of his act. We didn't have the kind of courage and resolve that Barry Trammell has displayed in his interactions with Westbrook. I have a suggestion for Westbrook if he wants the media to approve of his bad behavior. Do like Popovich. Attack President Trump. The media will excuse almost anything if you join the resistance. Let's return to the NFL, where Tom Coughlin made some headlines last week when he made a veiled shot at Jalen Ramsey and Telvin Smith for being the only two players on the Jags roster not to show up for voluntary workouts. Ramsey's agent tweeted out a response saying that Jacksonville knew the Pro Bowl defensive back wouldn't be there as he was spending time with his daughter and training in his hometown of Nashville. For his part, Ramsey tweeted out, quote, "fully aware and voluntary," meaning I don't have to be there, but they know the exact reasons I am not. My teammates know it's all love and know I'll be ready when it's time. All right, I'm going to make a prediction since I didn't play in the NFL. I'm the only guy that's going to side with Tom Coughlin here, but I side with Tom Coughlin here.
I don't side with Tom Coughlin here. Old habits are hard to shake, brother. And I'm going to use Coughlin against Coughlin, and this is why I don't side with you, Coughlin. Let's go back to 2006 when he was almost fired. Remember that mutiny up there? He had to end up taking the team bowling. Reputation preceded him. He was going too hard on the players. They were like, bruh, if you don't chill, you have to go. And that changed into them beating a perfect New England Patriots team that season. So, of course, I'm with Jalen Ramsey, who's a Pro Bowler. But besides that, his unit, a second-ranked defense, top 5 in pass defense. Like, show me where I'm not doing my job, and then I'll show you where I need to do my job differently. And Coughlin can't answer that.
And that's what I think gets lost. People want him there just because they want him there. They want to see him. And Coach Coughlin. Coach Coughlin's very old school.
Man.
And these new age athletes don't necessarily get on board with that old school mentality and train of thought.
Or winning championships. They don't get on board with that either. Coughlin's got 2. Jalen has none.
But how did this all start? Off-season workouts all started because Coach Belichick up in New England made all his players basically come to the voluntary workouts.
9 Super Bowl.
And it's a copycat league. And so, though that formula worked for them, it doesn't work for everyone. I remember Coach Shanahan telling us the reason he didn't require Shannon Sharp to come to workouts is because he felt like, man, we aren't doing anything close to what Shannon's doing and getting prepared for the season. If you have a guy like a Jalen Ramsey who's going to work his butt off, even Antonio Brown, all his misfalls,
in comparison,
he works hard. In comparison, he works hard. These are guys you don't have to constantly be on 24/7. They're going to get their work done. They're the exception to the rule, though.
Angela, what about what Coughlin's arguing is like, there's other guys that aren't like you, Jalen, that need you to be here to be a leader and be an example for them, to show them how to prepare the way you do. How about that?
And I will be there, Coach, when we start getting on the field and actually doing certain things. Right now, all they're doing is conditioning. Coaches aren't even allowed to be with these guys on the field. All they're doing is going through weightlifting and conditioning.
That's why you need a veteran.
But
top performer.
They're going to weightlifting and conditioning. They're going over the same playbook that this kid's been in for the last 4 years defensively. It's not much he's going to get from that. Yes. Could other guys get things from him being there? Yes, they could. But is him spending quality time with his daughter because he knows the season's going to be crazy and other things more important at that particular time?
I'm going to go here, and this is inappropriate for me to say, but again, Tom Coughlin in private are like, hey, man, marry the woman you had the baby with, and y'all moved down here to Jacksonville. How about that?
But, but at the end of the day, Tom Coughlin's 72 years old. At some point, he needs to go home. Like, at what point? At what point? See, that's the problem. A lot of people can't fathom that an athlete likes something besides his sport. They can't fathom that, hey, I actually like spending time with my family.
Coughlin realizes that. But Coughlin realizes there's a price to be paid to win Super Bowls, and he's saying Jalen ain't willing to pay that.
But you got to respect that there's an I in team, but there's no I in team, but there's a me in team. And that's where Coughlin's getting lost. Coughlin corrected his own behavior before to have success. Corrected again to have some success again. He did it before, and he was failing without changing his behavior to meet these modern-day athletes.
But my thing is, with everybody tries to do this, and there's still only one champion.
Thank you.
Yeah, the Patriots.
And so regardless,
Brady's missed 4
coming up
voluntary workouts.
Uncle Jimmy's here. Got any thoughts so far on the show, Uncle Jimmy?
Sir.
Yes. First of all, I'd like to say you're welcome for me being here.
Oh, wow. No thanks, but you're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. Listen, let's go ahead and get on with the big dummy of the day if we shall.
Please.
The big dummy of the day is whoever just sat up here and said, I wish I could get my hair braided again. I bet that ain't the only thing you wish. But here, let me tell you something. The budget at Fox don't allow for all that dye, Whitlock. You can forget that, man. You ain't cutting into my money.
Well, you know how much hair we had to buy to get with?
Boy.
Dude, this is natural. I chose to be bald.
Oh, natural.
Y'all jealous.
Yeah, he got a hairline still. Give him love.
Yeah, I see that one spot right there, being a little more rebellious than others.
The shoreline a little off.
Here's a highlight from our discussion earlier about Dak Prescott and his new commercial.
If I'm in Dak's camp, one thing I'm not selling anymore is the narrative of people still doubting me.
I don't have a problem with Dak Prescott playing the they doubted me card. I like that. I don't like him attaching this to Kyler Murray. Yeah. All right, Uncle Jimmy, you got any thoughts? What's your take on Dak Prescott and his new commercial?
First of all, let me say that 407 years ago today. You understand what I'm saying?
I remember.
As our forefathers said, don't fire until you see the whites of their eyes. That's what I'm just letting you know.
With that pause.
What's your take on
Dak?
Dak?
Man, let me tell you something about Dak, man. Honestly. Dak Prescott, well, let me say this. I done told y'all years ago, what I tell you the man's name was? Dackery Fitzgerald Prescott. I told you, the man is a Civil War hero. Very well decorated, if I may add. Hero. Okay, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, unlike all of y'all, see, Uncle Jimmy think outside the box. See, y'all just look at it, you take it for what it's worth. Hey, man, they set Dak up. They know Dak is famous for what? That one movie he did. In Glory.
What?
So they know every time you talk to Dak, Dak don't speak to you in Glory dialect. You know, for real, it's like, Dak, what you think about Kyler Murray? What you think he need to succeed in the NFL? Shoes, sir. Boy, just need shoes. The hell you talking about, Dak? Dak, what are you trying to say reaching out to Kyler Murray? Dak seemed to feel like, hey, I tried to the best of my mobility to reach out to Kyler, but he was wanting no help from me. Because evidently Dak felt like, you know, Dak said he won a Fleischman one time.
Heisman.
Yeah, he won that too.
Heisman.
But Dak didn't win that, but go ahead.
I mean, and you know, it was good, but you know, cause I'm trying to get him to calm down. You see what I'm saying? Because I got a little thing with, we was doing good, and I'm trying to talk to Dak. Dak, what's the deal? And man, all of a sudden, I made the mistake and brought up the situation with his money, and Dak lost his mind. I said, well, man, what's going on? Oh, you no such, I said, man, you gonna get your money? No such a thing, Uncle Jimmy. No such a thing. Master Jerry Jones is good people. You get on from around here with that foolishness. Mr. Jerry Jones give me eats, he give me sleeps, and he good folk. You get on from around here, Uncle Jimmy. We's ain't trying to hear that.
That's what
you have a take. You don't have a take on
you
Dak.
Ain't got nothing. But
you got.
You've been putting Dak and Glory in. That's your take.
All right, let me get to my approval rating on Dak Prescott. Job performance, I'm giving Dak a 17. He stays the same.
Yeah.
Tell him, nephew.
All-time greatness, I dropped him up a point. He's got a commercial on the leading up
Yes,
to the
he
NFL
does.
draft.
Yeah.
I'm going to move him to a 6. Character stays the same at 22. Authenticity, I'm going up a point because Dak's playing, he's an underdog card. He really believes that. So he moves up 2 points for me.
Tell him,
to a
nephew.
64, role player.
I got him as a role player, but I got a couple debits there. An all-time greatness status.
Lord,
You want me to doubt you?
Lord.
Want me to doubt you? I can. I will. I got evidence. I mean, you're giving me the ammo and authenticity. That card, that badge is expired, man, of you being doubted. Stop playing that, man. You about to get 25 million plus, man. Nobody doubting you no more, Dak. So that's not authentic right there, so I had to drop you a couple there. But 58, roll.
This is a rare moment where I'm higher on a player than Marcellus.
You've come a lot closer to me from day one on Dak.